a penis. Disgusting.
What's up, degenerates? It's the disc golf world. I'm Jefferson, and with me as always, the one with all the holes in his game, Swiss Cheese, recapping everything disc golf that went down over the weekend. I'm going to start this off with an apology because there's going to be a lot of bouncing around in this video, but there's just so much to talk about. From US Women's to Majestic, the first Futures event, and even the greatest doubles championship this country has ever seen, hosted by yours truly. Don't worry though, I'm going to kick it off with what everyone wants to hear.
That's a penis.
A big old schlong, genitalia, a massive pecker. A penis is what I'm trying to say. My Twitter allows gangbangs and beheadings on my timeline, but blurred out this image. That's how you know it's inappropriate. Only reason Brody didn't want to come out of retirement to trash this thing was him trying to stay PG. Personally, I thought it was that whole thing he was talking about earlier on Tour Life. What did he call it again?
Don't give a rip. I'll take 100 pre-cock dicks. I don't care.
As funny as the pre-cock trophy was, I don't think its veins overshadowed the event. Maybe next time we make it look a bit less like a creature cock, which is what my girlfriend called it as we watched it in person, so don't think that grainy dick pic coverage on DGN is what made it look like a Magic Johnson. I'm going to cut him some slack though, since this event was women's only. The designer probably had a much more mature mind than the typical disc golf fan. But don't get me wrong, disc golf trophies do need to step it up still. And I'm not talking the weird ones that have history behind it like the AFDO and their steering wheel. I'm not going to nitpick on that too much though, because I'm sure the winner cares a whole lot more about the money than some art and crafts project. I do want to shout out the crew for putting on a fantastic event despite the crazy weather from thunderstorms to over 90 degrees. Everyone killed it to put on a great show. Now, of course, I do have my complaints, but I'm only going to highlight one. We as a sport need to get better at making spectating fun. Specifically, I'm talking about the lead card because what I'm about to talk about can be avoided if you go watch other cards, but let's be honest, most people go there to watch lead card anyways, so it's kind of unavoidable. Watching in person is a really awesome experience for the people in the first two rows and for those that get drafted first in pickup basketball. Those of us who never get picked, we don't get to see shit. I want to clarify too that this is an issue for about 75% of professional events. Because there are some that at least do a good job at having benches or designated areas for comfortable viewing of multiple action points. I understand that will vary based on courses and some are just better than others. It's just a bit frustrating when I see middle-aged dudes blocking the view from the young girls trying to watch. In the future for this event specifically, and who knows, maybe even for more dgpt stops, there could be someone that prioritizes kids to get them the best view possible. It's not like they're blocking the view from anyone. I'd like to see an emphasis on exposing the youth to the best time possible to hopefully grow the sport in the next generation. In my opinion, we need to get frisbees in the hands of more people, not necessarily disc golf discs, but just normalizing frisbees. When you think about the opportunities for that, especially for younger kids, it's very limited. So you gotta take advantage when you can. And the more people that like it, throw it, enjoy it, then the more chances the sport has to grow. That's why I'm a big fan of the new Futures Tour and what they can do for the juniors of the game that are already next level. The people behind this organization know what they're doing too, which makes me feel extremely confident. They started off strong this weekend, having Simon Lizotte show up to make it feel that much more important. It's really the small stuff that matters, and honestly, that's what gets lost the higher up you go in the sport. However, the one thing that stays the same across the board is lack of promotion and awareness. How many of you knew the Futures event was going on? How many of you knew the Majestic was happening? What about that there was a Q series? All things that are supposed to be new, up-and-coming things in the sport, yet feels like no one knows they are happening or the results. Yes, it's only been a day for some of these things, but it feels weird that coverage hasn't been posted yet. And I'm only saying that because they posted about it. Also saying shot-by-shot coverage of one pro will be on the Birdie YouTube channel, which I don't even know what that is. Now, it could have been delayed since some of the Go Throw guys were working at USWDGC, but I did hear there was someone recording, so maybe just keep your eyes out. My point is, yes, disc golf needs more things for fans to watch and get invested in to hopefully grow everyone's interest. However, there is a severe lack of information for fans to fully understand what the hell is even going on. For example, the Q Series should have their points way more readily available than Statmando's website. An update here or there would be perfect, even if you're going to post a little YouTube video on your YouTube channel. If this is a true series for the up-and-comers, why would you not share as much of this out as possible in hopes that someone does become a superstar down the road and now they have a dedicated fan base already? In my opinion, the players are as equally important to the product as the disc golf itself. It's what made this past weekend even more exciting, but I'll let Swiss be the one to tell you why.
The FPO has witnessed a string of strong and dominating performances for much of the year, but especially as of late. Coming into the second major, USWDGC, most were hoping for the same. Unfortunately, though, some of the feature or lead card play was as difficult to stare at as the horse-sized selfie stick that they tried to call a trophy. It all started with the shocking performances of Day 1's feature card that contained 3 of the top 4 in the dgpt points in Kristen Lott, Silva Saarinen, and Missy Gannon. They would go on and collectively shoot 6 over. Missy's 8 over made a podium finish all but impossible, while Kristen, Silva, and Holland Hanley, for that matter, found themselves quickly behind 6 to 7 strokes to the tour-returning Evelina Salonen, whose ace helped her finish 8 under for a solo lead over friend Henna Blomroos, who was returning to the tour also. Emily Weatherman shot the hot round on Day 2, matching Evelina's 8 under performance the day prior. That moved her all the way onto lead card for the next day. Evelina started slow with a bogey, only made worse by a double after missing 3 C1X putts on 7, allowing Henna a share of the lead, which she would never lose, and in fact extend with a 5 under round. Haley King, making a return of her own to the tour, still rocking an open bag, shot a 6 under that moved her all the way into second place. And it would be those 4 who would go on to collectively miss 24 Circle 1 putts on moving day, led by Evelina's 10, with Haley adding 7 more of her own. That putting performance allowed for a tighter race heading into the final day, with 7 players within 5 strokes of the leader Henna, who just held on to a solo lead after going OB on 18. The entire lead card was only separated by 2 strokes, and after that entire card's putting performance, it still seemed anyone's race for the taking. Kristen, who after shooting the hot round at Silver Creek moved up 11 places and into the top 10. But a slow start on the final day not only kept her from contention, but off the podium altogether, ending her podium streak at 13, which spanned nearly 11 months with 5 wins in that stretch. And while I'm discussing streaks, Holland did just enough to keep her top 5 one alive, finishing in 4th place. Cadence Burge continued her breakout season as she made a push from chase card on the final day, even having a share of the lead at one point after a 4 under front 9. She would finish with a 6 under and a 2nd place finish, now her 3rd podium finish on the short year. Haley didn't notch her first par until hole 8, mixing in some nervy putts for birdies with errant shots off the tee, including missed Mandos and OBs resulting in 3 bogeys, yet still had a 2-stroke lead heading into the back half after Evelina's back-to-back bogeys on 8 and 9. And as for Weatherman and Henna, both would finish their front half over par and didn't improve much better from there, as both fell outside the top 5 altogether, making the race between Evelina and Haley, who would extend her lead to 3 strokes 2 holes later on 11, and actually leaning on her putter after such a poor performance the day prior. But her first and only C1 miss on the day, on 13, would be costly. Evelina would take advantage with a birdie that started a 4-hole birdie run to give her a share of the lead with only 2 holes remaining. She would be unable to take advantage of a 30-foot birdie putt on 17 that left her and Haley tied going into the final hole. What's worse for fans, it would lack the drama that the stage set. Haley's drive was far too low and forced her to be aggressive on her 2nd shot that resulted in OB, allowing Evelina to walk in for the victory, and her 3rd major in the last 6 total. Now 1 ahead of Missy and 2 ahead of Kristen Lott.
That wasn't the only major event that went down this weekend. The Disc Golf World had our very first tournament, Black Lung's first available open. It was a collaboration between us and a local brewery. We were even able to create our own beer for the event, which Simon said wasn't horrible. A couple of guests even decided to play. There's no off weeks for this guy, unless a cool amusement park is close by. Gavin Phillips, who you might know from the few lead cards he's made this season already, or from the double aces at the Open at Austin, playing alongside with his dad. Another surprise we had was Broderick and his partner Ethan decided to make a pit stop and test their skills out at Fairfield.
Come on. Come on.
Round 1, they quickly found out how short 190 feet was, but not completely out of cash yet, because it was going to be hard to catch up to Gavin and his dad after a blistering 18 under to start the day. Only one stroke behind them was Team Pro-Am, consisting of David and Frank, who snuck into final round coverage. Now heading to the much harder gold layout, but Gavin didn't get the memo as he smashed the chains in the very first hole.
Oh, come on. Basket sucked. Nice shot, dude.
Missed out on $100 and the CTP as Dave taps in the park job for a pair of birdies. The wind decided it didn't want anyone to birdie hole 2, so instead enjoyed this drive by Gavin, who looks like he puts about 5% effort in and still clears my best drive by 50 feet. Hole 3 is an easy par 4, and both teams made it look even easier. If you didn't believe me about the wind, just look at those curly locks blowing in the air. It's like he's some sort of princess out there. That's why he hit him with the dance moves. Team Pro-Am wasn't quite able to get a putt for birdie. They actually have to still throw for their third shot, while Gavin and his dad have a look for the 3. The basket is already elevated, but the wind makes it so much harder. That's probably what he would want me to say after that missed putt, and yeah, that excuse carries over to Bob too. Par, and now on to hole 5. This is one of the shots I've always wanted to see a pro throw, and I can definitely say it's exactly what I wanted. This is the definition of an easier par 4 and a hard 3. This was the closest attempt I had ever seen. Unfortunately, some branches were in the way for a clean look, but still super impressive. Shout out to Minnesota Frisbee motherfuckers for having the best eagle bid my eyes have ever seen. I'll get started on the replacement basket for you guys, don't worry. Easy birdies for everyone, and the same could be said about hole 6. Now we start to get to the fun stuff. Hole 7 off the tee, you need to get to the right, and Gavin wasn't able to do that. Left with a patent pending shot, he managed a long look for birdie after a last second tree hit. After 2 drives, Dave decided it was time to whip out a tomahawk. To be honest, better than I expected, but the Am of Pro-Am decided it was time to shine with a sneaky backhand well inside the circle. Well, that was cool for about 5 seconds, right until Gavin realized how to make putts again. He would follow that up with a tricky hyzer around a tree that I promise he made. Oh yeah, and tap in for the other team as well. After the front 9, Gavin and his dad would still have the Pro-Am by a stroke, but they would be tied up for the round at 6 under apiece. This next stretch is considered the gauntlet as it picks up in difficulty. Gavin would probably just call it hole 10 though, because he walked away with the drop-in birdie, taking a 2-stroke lead. He wasn't done yet as he smashed what was the best shot I had ever seen in hole 11 in a position for eagle. Not after that approach, but still walking away with an easy birdie is huge. Not as big as Dave nailing a massive putt to match, even if they played the hole the exact opposite, going from tree to tree all the way up there. The next tee shot forces something to the right very fast. Both teams had looks. Frank stepped up first, nailing the circle's edge putt. Gavin and his dad couldn't handle all that pressure, dropping their first stroke of the round. Would get it right back after a birdie on hole 14, and then they would coast to a victory, taking down the very first Disc Golf World Tournament presented by Black Lung. Thank you to everyone who played or came out to hang out and made the event something special. If you're local, go try a beer. It's still on tap, but who knows for how long. This won't be the last time we do something like this, so I promise you're not going to want to miss out next year. Huge shout out to Gateway Discs, Drive Bag, Sword Disc Golf, Cosmic Dave, Happy with Par, Cabrella Designs, Mad Discs, Ink Me Dies, and anyone I forgot. Thank you so much for helping make this event the best it possibly could. It literally could not have been done without all your guys' help. If you want to hear a more in-depth recap of the day, check out the Spit Out podcast coming at you tomorrow. Also, drop a comment down below if you'd like to see full round coverage of the final day with commentary.